Hello, welcome back to Access. I'm Nathan. I'm with Patrick, gameplay director on Deus Ex Mankind Divided. Got some questions for you, my man. And that is, so at the end of the previous Deus Ex, multiple kind of, you know, the whole kind of philosophy of Deus Ex is various pathways and choosing your own story. There's that RPG element. Obviously, the ending of the game was very extreme in different directions, but you've had to bring that together. Otherwise, we couldn't have played the second one. So, can you kind of talk to us about what the starting situation is here and what we can expect when we first start Mankind Divided?
Well, we're 2 years after the events of Human Revolution. In terms of the actual ending, there was the AUG incident at the end. I don't think it's a spoiler at this point to talk about that.
2 years, it's over. It's fine.
So that's where the augmented people got hacked into, and they just lost control. They went crazy, and there was a lot of drama, tragedy. A lot of people were killed, and that's completely transformed the world. And so where Human Revolution was all about, you know, the cyber renaissance, the dream of getting yourself augmented, you know, for sports, for arts, for you know, socially. Yeah. Now it's the flip side of that. It's the flip side of transhumanism, and now we're exploring the darker side of, you know, human beings, like being afraid and not really trusting what's going on, and power players trying to take advantage of that. So sure. Big corporations and governments and things like that, and trying to drive that wedge in society and just kind of fuel that fear.
Awesome, cool. And in terms of the thing I struggle with is I'm not a natural stealth player, you know, so I went more action last time. But from what I've seen, I've not had a chance to play it yet, but from what I've seen, the action gameplay is much kind of smoother this time. Maybe a chance for players who aren't as skilled at stealth like me to kind of, you know, have a bit more fun without feeling like they're being like punished from the game. So I was looking at cover specifically and the energy meter. Can you kind of speak a little bit about what you've done there?
Yeah, that was one of our main concerns, actually. Like, that was one of the main things that we wanted to improve after Human Revolution, and it's just because the whole game is about freedom of choice, and if we're gonna have true choice, then it needs to be equivalent, you know. Sure. So it's just the idea of getting experience points from combat. That's possible now, and just exactly what you were mentioning there, this whole idea of fluidity. Jensen, his character, who's much more comfortable with himself now being augmented, and we wanted to translate that in the gameplay as well. So now you can do cover forward, so you can really like just really fluidly navigate through the environment and very elegantly do it. You can do takedowns from cover as well. You could just vault over cover to go straight to the other side. Sure. The way we've integrated some of the gun arms as well, you know, you can lock on to targets with the nano blade to take it out. You can upgrade some of that stuff as well. We've worked a lot on the control scheme as well to make some of those augmentations accessible on the fly, like while you're moving, and the way that you select them as well, and just overall, you know, the way that, you know, positioning the camera for the guns and the recoil and the little gun flashes and all those elements that you'd get an experience that's more that players are a little bit more familiar with other first-person shooters.
Absolutely, yeah. But then still with the kind of the stealth options there.
Yeah, absolutely. It's just that pillar we wanted to strengthen it a little bit and bring it up to par with what we felt where the stealth was in the game.
Sure, and you're kind of talking about the philosophy of, you know, it being your choice, and I think one of the things which people, and you must have had loads of feedback about this in the bosses from last time. Yeah. People felt there was one way to kind of approach them, and I understand you've done a bunch of work on that as well.
That was really important for us as well. Actually, some of that work was done like in the director's cut already of of Human Revolution. We started addressing that, and we just kept true to that philosophy. So it doesn't matter how you've upgraded yourself. You know, if you're really strong in hacking or you know, stealth or combat abilities or whatever, you're not going to be in a situation where you're like, oh my god, I can't take this on, and there are no opportunities. And regarding bosses as well, like when we say you can do a non-lethal run of the whole game from the beginning to end, well, bosses are people too, so they're
bosses
included.
Are people too. That should be a T-shirt. And one of the things, so I was catching up on everything that you guys have released, Dubai and Prague, and like the locations that you find in Deus Ex, maybe the ones that you don't normally find in video games, that are kind of attracted to the same kind of cities. There's something kind of strange and elegant about the locations that you guys choose, and I was just wondering, really, if you could talk a little bit about what attracts the development team to a particular place when you guys are choosing where to set the game.
Well, I think the team who worked on Human Revolution obviously started with Detroit, and that's a North American city, and then there was some world traveling, but like having the opportunity to do the sequel, we definitely wanted to look into a European city, and then Prague was really interesting, you know, for this whole mix of the old and the new, and I think, you know, the cyberpunk feeling of the game expresses itself in very interesting ways in Prague, where obviously, you know, you're not going to level a whole city and rip off its history. So it's like, how did this cyberpunk translate into a city with a rich history like Prague? Yeah. And Prague was interesting also because of the golem myth there, where, you know, back in the old days, you know, there was a golem that was created for to protect the Jews in the city, and then, you know, that related to some of the segregation themes that we're dealing with in Mankind Divided and the Golem City as well, where, you know, that was a complex that was created for migrant workers, and then it was transformed into an Og ghetto ultimately, and that's right outside of Prague. So for a lot of those reasons, Prague felt like a really good city to explore.
Thematic fit, yeah. Awesome, cool. And the latest thing I think you guys have announced last week was a new mode, Breach. Is that right?
Yeah.
And I've just had a quick look at that, and if you could kind of explain where that sits, and I'm really interested in the ability to kind of set challenges for other people online, because it's kind of it's standing alone standing separately from the campaign, right?
Yeah, it's a whole independent, self-dependent mode. You can choose it from the main menu, and it's the whole idea of exploring some of those mechanics in a different setting. So there's the whole narrative justification as to what you're doing and what the Rippers are doing. Sure. But gameplay-wise, it translates into something that's really a lot of freedom for our developers. You know, so they were able to actually create spaces where they don't have to justify everything all the time, and we don't have to work within the physical limitations of a building or an environment, so we could go really crazy. And then we have all kinds of really cool augmentations like the double, triple jump, you know, and things like that. And then you take on your friends. There's leaderboards, and there are leaderboards based on you know, points and how effectively you complete the objectives, but also on time, which means that you have to play like the same maps completely differently if you want to be on top of both of those leaderboards. So it's very exciting.
And one of the other things, what I liked about it was if at the beginning you're able to kind of customize and try out different augmentations in a way which maybe you can't do so fluidly in the main game. So it kind of gives people you know, a place to experiment too, right?
Yeah, that's exactly right. And then you could try like completely different play styles and develop like whole new reflexes and abilities, and then you might actually want to translate that back and you know, maybe make some different decisions in the Aug tree in the main game, and you can have a lot of fun with that.
Awesome, cool, wow, magic. Thanks so much, Patrick. Thanks you guys for watching. Stay tuned, we've got loads more coming up.